So coming out of high school, UCLA offered you a scholarship.
Yeah.
If Bill Walton wasn't your father, would you have taken it?
I don't think so. They were in my top 5. I had a visit set up there. But for me, Coach Olson and the style of basketball that he was playing was, I used to stay up late at night and watch every one of their games that I could find on TV. And, they had just come off the national championship with Bibby and Miles and all those guys. And that's where I wanted to go. So
Even growing up in San Diego, I would have assumed that UCLA would.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess I just always assumed that the reason why you didn't go to UCLA was because you didn't want to play in the shadow of your dad. Is that overstated?
Yeah, it's overstated.
Okay.
If Coach Olson was at UCLA, I would have gone to UCLA. I wanted to play for Coach Olson, was what it mainly came down to. My dad told me that it's completely my decision. He said he'll respect wherever I go. Once I chose U of A, he told me that's where he was hoping I was going to choose because of how highly he thought of Coach Olson as well. I heard him a couple times even call him the modern day John Wooden, which I know how much my dad values John Wooden, so it was a pretty big compliment.
Walton has earned Player of the Week and all conference accolades from the league, as well as the 2002 Pac-10 Tournament Most Outstanding Player Award.
As much as he wants to win, I feel like Coach Olson is more interested in helping his players develop as men. If you were late, it didn't matter if you were Gilbert Arenas, Richard Jefferson. You weren't going to play in the first half of the next game. He had his rules. He made you responsible for your actions. If you use too much foul language, he'd kick you right out of practice, tell you to quit talking like a sailor, give you a kick on the butt on your way out, and you'd be furious. You'd be in the locker room. And then afterwards, you come back, apologize to him, and he wouldn't hold a grudge. He had his rules, and it was awesome playing for him. He used to let you run. We had 5 plays. We had one. Those were the names of our plays: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And
you don't want to run out of fingers. We're only going to do 5.
Yeah, we got 5 of them. And he used to he wanted us to run. He wanted us to drive to the middle and just make things happen every time we had a chance to. Then once the games came, he kind of just, told us to do what we do, and we'd get out and run and fast break and have a blast out there playing in front of the Tucson fans. So it was a great time. Great time of my career was playing there for U of A.
Well, let's take this a step further then, because you've either played for or had access to 3 of the best ever: Lute Olson, Phil Jackson, John Wooden. What's the common thread between those 3 men?
They get the best out of their players. Their players want to play for them. They want to win for them. I would do anything for Coach Olson or Coach Jackson, and I'm sure my dad would do anything for Coach Wooden. I think that's unfortunately a rare quality in coaches. There's a lot of coaches that players can't stand playing for. They don't want to go to war with them. It's not like they're your best friends and that's why you want to play for them. They challenge you, and like I said, there's times you're furious at them. There's times I went weeks without talking to Coach Jackson, and he would kind of just smirk at me as I walked by. But they have a special quality and a special ability to get their players to play the best and to do it for the better of the team as opposed to for individual reasons.
Let's talk some more about Coach Wooden. Tell me about your own personal interactions with him. You've obviously spent time around him and talked to him. You got a much different version of John Wooden than your dad did.
Yeah.
But tell me about your own memories of him and maybe what you took from those conversations?
He was always very nice and easy to be around. He just I mean, he had one of those calming presence. You know, my dad used to take us up to his camp when we were kids, and we'd have lunch with him. You know, we used to think it was weird when my dad would write his quotes on our lunch bags for school every day. But
I was going to ask you that. So he really did that? That's not just
every time
telling
we stayed at
stories,
his house. My dad's version of making lunch is throwing a banana, an apple. There was no making anything. It was just whatever was in the house. You just throw it in a bag, maybe a muffin, and then it was be quick but don't hurry, you know. And every single day, the first thing we got to school, our friends would all kind of run up laughing, like wanting to see the lunch bags, wanting to see what quote was on it for that day. But yeah, he definitely did that.
It's interesting because when I interviewed your dad, you know, all he kept saying is, "Oh, we didn't listen to anything he said. We didn't believe anything he said." And now he's writing on your lunch bag. I mean, somebody got smarter as Bill got older, huh?
Yeah, which is, you know, I feel like the case for a lot of younger players. You don't really appreciate it while it's happening because the great coaches are challenging you. And, you know, you sometimes when you're 18 years old, you don't want to hear that. You think you're awesome, and you think you know it all, and you really come to appreciate it as the time passes. And I have a feeling from stories I've heard of Bill's teammates that that was the case with my dad and Coach Wooden as well.